You have to do that in order to do what I do. Help her do it also. She's like on it. But, so we have, coming up next is, it's kind of bittersweet because Lucy Doty is coming up next to talk a little bit about stuff that God's been doing in her life. And Lucy has been part of our youth group for years, and she is graduating this year and is going off to New York City. So it's, you know, I hate to see her go, but we're excited. We're just, almost anything else, we're just pumped to see what's happening in her life. So, Lucy, come on forward.
I wasn't supposed to cry until the baptism, so maybe I'm sad about leaving. Okay. I'm going to start with a passage from the Bible. It's always a good starting point. Oh, my bookmark lied. But I know where it is. Okay. I want to put you guys on the spot. If a youth could come up and read this, any of you? Victoria, come on in. Sweet. You read, we're in Matthew 14. Victoria's going to read 22 through 32.
Immediately, Jesus walked in. Immediately, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead of him to the other side, while he dismissed the crowd. After he dismissed them, he went up on the mountainside by himself to pray. When evening came, he was there alone, but the boat already considered distant from land. Buffeted by the waves because the wind was against it. During fourth watch of the night, Jesus went out to them, walking on the lake. When the disciples saw him walking on the lake, they were terrified. "It's a ghost," they said, and they cried out in fear. But Jesus immediately said to him, "Take courage, it is I, don't be afraid." "Lord, if it's you," Peter replied, "tell me to come to you on water." "Come," he said. Then Peter got down on the boat, walked on the water, came towards Jesus. But then he saw the wind. He was afraid and began to sink. Cried out, "Lord, save me!" Immediately Jesus reached out his hands and caught him. "You of little faith," he said, "why did you doubt me?"
Thank you. So, my spontaneous reader. So, we've heard this story before. Jesus calls Peter to walk on the water, and I will shift to a little info about myself, I suppose. I graduated from Walton High School this year, with like the rest of the people who graduated, except for some. And I've been going here for, that's like 6 years. So I'm in the youth group for about 6 years. And I grew up with a lot of these guys, and I'm really close to a lot of them. But I am shipping away to New York City. I went to the King's College. It's in Manhattan. There's about, I think they grew this year, there's about 300 to 400 kids. And the school leases all of their classroom space from the Empire State Building. So I'm living with 2 girls. The colleges find all your rooms for you. I'm living in an apartment on 34th Street, the opposite corner of the block that the Empire State Building is on. And I leave on Thursday. So I'll be up there for a good long time, I suppose. And if you're wondering, the next question is always, what are you going for? So my major is called Politics, Philosophy, and Economics. And I'll add a media concentration later because I want to go into editing or publishing and marketing or something cool. And King's was a big decision for me because my parameters when choosing a college were within a 7-hour radius, no fewer than about 5,000 kids, and a secular school. because, which it's not. I blew all those out of the water. It is a Christian school. I wanted to go to secular school just because I wanted to work as a Christian within a secular body, maybe find the Christian community and then branch out and talk to, not necessarily believers. I didn't feel like I needed to be surrounded by believers. Sometimes I like to be surrounded by non-believers because of the give and take and the discussion and seeing what their thoughts are and then talking to them about mine. And some Christian schools that I looked at are in a little bit of a bubble. Not all of them, but some of them. And I wanted to stay away from that a little bit. But Dad and I visited King's in November. And I wish I should have printed out their mission statement. Their mission statement is something like teaching followers of Christ about the truth and placing them in a pivotal spot in the world to become leaders of the most influential businesses and industries in the world. And that kind of hit home with me a little bit because I'd like to be a leader, and I'd like to be a leader being the hands of Christ among people and in a city that is huge and is not overwhelmingly working for the hands of Christ, or even a little bit. So, as I started considering going there, I had some other options, and I really like things to be confirmed. And if you asked me what I was praying for, if I ever come up for ministry time, or if you asked if you could pray for something specifically for me over the past 5 years, I wasn't even considering college that time, but I was praying for direction, no matter what. Because I knew that I would go in a direction if I got one. I knew that if I were put on a path or felt called to be on a path, I would follow that path. And I was never quite sure where that path was, and that really frustrated me because I hear people talk about their paths a lot, and I feel like many people, it seemed to me, hearing speakers in churches had a calling. And I thought I might as well have a calling, but that was, not the case as spoken to me by God at the time. So I continued to pray, and I started writing when I was, I don't know, the age doesn't really matter, a little while ago, maybe 5 years ago. And that was something that brought me peace. And even though I wasn't always writing about God or to Christians or for Christians or based on the Bible, not that it was based on something else, but I just took inspiration from human nature and what I saw in the world. But that brought me peace, and I realized that I could write about things and for people, and they could see them and hopefully see Christ's working through me. And that was a calling in and of itself. And that I didn't need to be, a path didn't need to be paved to a foreign country where I could be a missionary, even though I thought that would have been awesome. And I didn't have to go, all of a sudden leap up into a speaker's role or lead all the youth at once. Even though I kind of wanted to. I wanted something, monumental. But a while ago after that, some of this I'll be talking about some visions, but a little vision I had that made a big difference to me is that while I was praying, probably when I was in 6th or 7th grade, I just saw a picture of a little girl